Welcome to IMAGI-NATION TV. My name is Stephani Beck, and what makes me who I am is my passion for redesigning some of the solutions to help create a fairer world for everybody, and of course also my children. That's a huge part in my family of what drives me every day to do what I do here at AIME. I'll be facilitating an awesome conversation today between Brady, who's joining us, the CEO of Accenture, Dr. Janine Mohamed from the CEO of Lowitja Institute. We've also got Callan Purcell, the founder of Radkid Mob, Sagnik Roy, CEO and founder of Fire Within Films, and we've got Jacob Taylor with us, who's a student from Cedar College in Victoria, jumping into the conversation. And today we're going to be talking about social good. And we think gone are the times when social good can be left exclusively for not-for-profits and governments to bring to life. Gone are the times when organisations could do whatever they wanted with 90 or 99% of their time and resources and channel the rest into doing good. With the world in its current state, with the climate crisis being a central challenge for us all, with inequity still rising in many nations globally, it's time for us all to commit wholeheartedly to social good. No more 1%, it's time to go all in with 100% if we truly want to build a fairer world. So thanks for joining us. We're going to kick in with a chat with Dr. Janine Mohamed. How are you today?
Good, thank you, Steph. How are you?
Good to see you. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us where you're zooming in from today?
Yeah, sure. I'm a proud Narungga woman from South Australia, working and living on the lands of the Wurundjeri and Bunurong peoples here in NAM, 200 plus days in lockdown. As you said, I'm the CEO of the Lowitja Institute. So we're Australia's national Aboriginal community controlled health research institute. And I'm really proud to say I have some strong connections with AIME, and I'm probably in what you'd describe as an unofficial champion of the work that you do.
And it's great to have your support. I love the work that you guys are doing. So we'll dive straight in, I guess. We've got some questions for you to start bringing out, I guess, some knowledge from your perspective for the young people that are listening and the other young people on the call. How would we ensure that research is driven by the people that are actually impacted by the work when we're talking about social good?
Yeah, so Lowitja became a community controlled organisation recently, and that was really deliberate because history has really told us that many decisions that affect us as Indigenous mob have been made without us. And of course, you know, and another analogy of that is for a long time women, you know, had men making decisions on their behalf of, you know, things that affected them. So, and, you know, historically research is no different for Indigenous mob. Research has really been led by non-Indigenous peoples largely and framed with their priorities. And so I often say research was done on us and not with us or for us. And that research has been shared in lots of ways that weren't meaningful for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. So the notion of community control means exactly that. Communities in control of their aspirations, so setting up their dreams, and how they, you know, journey along towards their destiny. And so at Lowitja, our board reflects the communities they are a part of or serve, and they're elected by the community to sit on the governance structures of Lowitja that makes decisions on behalf of the community. And what that means in essence is that our programs are designed, developed and delivered by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples for our peoples. So community control means everything. It's definitely a change in power and decision making. And what it allows us to do is privilege our mob when it comes to allocating money, so research dollars. That means that 100% of our projects that we fund are Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander organisations and Aboriginal people leading our projects. And, you know, they design those research priorities with the community too. What that means in terms of social impact really is, you know, that our community decide if it's been of benefit, that, you know, the research has been of benefit, not, you know, academia or universities, but it's a straight direct feedback that we're doing the right thing. And there's many ways that the way that we give the research out, so like the actual way people apply, make sure that we're also measuring employment. So other Aboriginal people are employed on the research projects. There's opportunities for business. So we measure how many Aboriginal businesses have been involved in the research process. Education opportunities come out of it, and also, and most importantly, better health outcomes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Heaps in there. And I think, you know, like change takes a long time, I guess, to see in terms of measuring it as well. At the Lowitja Institute, are you seeing some shift in, I guess, what is considered success or progress in terms of being community driven by those decisions that are being made?
Yeah, so what we've seen over 23 years is why the institute was established. We now have over 150 Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander researchers. We see that what we fund, and we only get, you know, a small percent of the budget, so 0.1%, I think, of the total research budget goes to Lowitja. But what we've seen out of that is the alumni, you know, changes because of the way that we also translate the research knowledge, so changes in national policy, yeah, massive amounts, and people also, you know, that the way that you know that you're making a difference is that people want to be connected to you. So there's just some of the ways that we know we're doing the right thing. People keep coming back. We have more and more Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander peoples, you know, doing research, leading the research projects as well.
Yeah, that's really amazing, because you get a level of, I guess, personal investment in it to create that. Like, I still want to continue being involved and driving it, and if that ripples out to your family as well, for them to see that it's an avenue for them to pursue as well.
Yeah, it's economic participation, it's, you know, role modeling for people. And I think what Lowitja's boldly done is, you know, put words into action. We believe in our people, and we believe that we can give this research to 100% Indigenous organisations and Indigenous researchers. So it's not just, you know, a value statement, it's actually in doing it.
Yeah, amazing. Let's jump over to you, Tara. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience and let us know where you're zooming in from today?
I'll go off mute. Hello there, everyone. I'm Tara Brady. I'm from England, Essex, which is the east side of London. I've been in Australia for a year, and my role in Australia is I'm the CEO of Accenture, which is a large advisory tech firm. So I don't know how best to describe it, but one of those large corporations with the big buildings in the city, and responsible effectively for the top ASX 100 clients within the country. And we do a lot of predominantly technology and high-end strategy advisory for our people. So just to give a bit more breadth, we have 6,000 people based all over Australia. We have offices in all the major cities. Our two predominant ones would be Melbourne and Sydney, but we have a large office in Perth, Darwin, Adelaide, Brisbane, Canberra. So I spend a lot of my time with a number of the CEOs in the large corporates, understanding their requirements and how they meet consumers and their social responsibilities, but also their commercial challenges as well.
Thank you. And we see technology in every aspect of our lives, even if we don't know it. And I guess working for a tech company, it also sees some challenges that come through. With that, do you see any challenges, and what are the impacts across different groups? Sorry, I'm asking that question a little bit.
We've all seen COVID changed technology quite a bit, and it's had a two-pronged effect. So firstly, my nan who's never had a phone. She just doesn't believe in them. She thinks they're sort of mysterious things. But she's now using a phone. She's even understanding the internet now, and she's enlightened by it because she looks through things when she was in the war and looks at history that she just wasn't able to access. So it's seeing someone in their sort of late 80s enlightened by technology is great to see, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for COVID. So teaching, as I said earlier, we use a Teams call rather than Zoom, but just having the ability to see her face go on the first Teams call was just fantastic. So in some ways it's been very good, but in the other ways we've got these large tech firms who are getting much more power and influence in the world. Someone said recently that I think it's Microsoft or Apple, who are now the largest company in the world, they're now in the valuation of trillions, which is bigger than most countries, are larger than any company ever that existed in the world in any time, just because of the scale of the internet and the globalization that we've got. So these companies are big with a lot of influence, and they need to perform and behave carefully because they've got a lot of power and authority now, which hasn't been there before. And so it's how, I suppose, from everyday man we can benefit from it, but also navigate our way to making sure we take the good from it, but in some ways ignore the bad. And it is a navigation. And people on this call will be much more familiar with social media than I would. And so I know all the challenges, and I hear all the pitfalls out there. So how, as we as a firm deal with it, we empower most of our organizations to be more technically efficient. Australia is quite behind the rest of the world. We have, we call it an OECD listing of countries, the predominantly Western countries of the world. We're at the bottom ranked, so we're behind some of the bigger nations in terms of technology advancement. We have not had technology take up compared to the UK, Europe, US, and so there's a lot of learning for Australia as a whole, let alone different segments of society. So we've got a long journey ahead of us. The good news is, and I use the analogy of COVID, because we've seen all the other nations go through the sufferings of COVID more than us, and there's been guinea pigs out there going through the challenges, and we can benefit from that and move forward with it. And I think technologies like that, learn from organizations, or learn from countries, or learn even from individuals that have used technology to their advantage, and go down that route rather than just try and navigate the minefield on your own.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when we're learning from people, there's knowledge that's been here for time immemorial, since the beginning of time, and it's probably when we're looking to solve some of the bigger issues, taking from, like, there's global Indigenous knowledges that we could probably find solutions in as well. So I definitely agree with that point. And also with technology, there's automation of jobs coming through as well.
Yes, there are.
Uncertainty of jobs in the future. How, in your opinion, do you think that we can best train and prepare young people now for what the work will look like?
I could go really deep on that subject, so I'll try and keep it as light as possible. I've come from a very poor, underprivileged background. I grew up in what would be your homing commission. We call them council estates in England. And so I left school with no qualifications. I've still got no qualifications as we stand today. And so I've had to, in some ways, from a very, all I can remember at my school is if you become a taxi driver, you've hit the jackpot. that was the be all and end all of becoming a taxi driver. So getting a license, you have to do, in London to be a taxi driver, you have to do a 2-year knowledge test. And that was considered, you've done 2 years of knowledge and you must be really clever to be a taxi driver. And so seeing how now with Uber and the advancement, in some ways, how taxi is not given the same prestige in terms of role and also money in society. And some of these becoming more and more automated, and I'm sure one day taxi drivers will be as well. So we had in the UK a lot of mining towns in the 80s shut down, where people have been miners for years. And there's a lot of stories where big, strong men, and it was predominantly a male-dominated industry, big, strong men who come out of the coal mines, and the coal mine was shut, and they had to feed their family, and so they went to become cold call telesales people in big call center offices. And the biggest issues I used to have with some of my mates who did that were they found it very hard taking orders when these are 35-year-old strong men with families taking orders from a 21-year-old woman who was just better at the cold calling than they were. They found it very hard to first accept the authority of a young woman over them, but also to adapt to do a completely different skill, having to use your brain. And so even that shift was so monumental for them. But if you look back now, all of them, all my friends that I know, have advanced into greater good. And if they were still doing the mining jobs now, they all look back and say 30 years ago, can you remember when we did that horrible job? But at the time, it was such a big issue for them transitioning. So I think we all have to accept that, yes, the more repetitive roles are going to go. And as far up the skill or educational chain we can go, better. And so learn more, practice more. The biggest thing I'd say to people who haven't got any experience coming out of school with no qualifications is just do stuff, anything, even if it's just cleaning people's cars, anything, just get moving, get active, because it will introduce other opportunities.
Yeah, good advice. And I think being able to be agile enough and having like the ability, I guess what we kind of frame our learning around is imagination, but being able to be innovative with those skills and create opportunities for yourself that might not exist already. Thanks for that. We're going to jump over to Callan now. Would you like to introduce yourself, give us a bit of an intro to where you're zooming in from today?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Callan. I'm a proud Wiradjuri man. I have mob from Mudgee and Wellington Way. I am a theatre maker and actor currently on Gadigal land, Sydney, and I am the owner and founder of the Rad Kid Mob.
Awesome, thanks. And we had a really good chat yesterday, and thanks for being our hype man behind the scenes today about organisations and I guess what it means for them to be contributing to social good or socially good, having an impact on the community in a great way.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to Tara and Dr. Janine as well, I'm like, I've learned so many things already. So I'm super grateful for that. I think that talking about asking questions and the reality of the resources that you have in your community and the people that, if they're given the platform to speak up or give their opinion, you can learn so many things and you can solve so many problems in that way. I work a lot in like collaborative and devised theatre and understanding that, you know, if you have the more actors in the room you have or the more creative types, the more imaginations you have, and then the more resources you have to kind of make this world together. So I think the great organizations that are really doing great social good, great social good, are the ones that are giving space for others to share their opinions and have autonomy over the choices that are happening in their community as well, because then they have a sense of ownership over what's going on, and they're contributing to the greater good as well, and then it's more people at the table.
Yeah, and there was a phrase that you said about like radical empathy as well, and what that played in people being able to, I guess, share their stories and understand each other's perspectives.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm a big fan of this idea of radical empathy, which was a term that was penned from about 2003. And it's this full-bodied experience of imagining what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. But the reality is that it goes beyond that, and it allows you to feel that with your entire body. So through the Rad Kid Mob, we've been giving experiences for young blackfellas and young people that haven't had a chance to go to the theatre. And so they can experience what it's like to be in someone else's life, whether that's 100 years ago or if that's 100 years into the future, if that's if the world has been turned upside down, they can come into the theatre, which is a safe space for opposing opinions, and experience it from a place of healing instead of a place of being defensive or feeling like that there needs to be a sense of conflict. So, you know, we're kind of championing this idea that with radical empathy, we can learn so much from people with opposing points of view, and we can potentially find a compromise where a world can exist for everyone.
Yeah, and it's important to be able to, I guess, interrogate those different points of view if you're looking to co-design a solution together, which essentially we all are, if we're all inhabiting the planet and we're looking for ways that we can stop climate change from the destruction that's happening. So yeah, really great points. We're going to jump over to Sagnik. Thanks for joining us today. Would you like to do a quick intro and let everyone know where you're from?
Hello, I'm Sagnik Roy. I'm 17 years old from here in India, and I am the CEO and founder of Fire Within Films, which aims to shift the mainstream entertainment industry and giving newer talents a chance at accessing the industry.
Thank you. It's great to have you with us today. When we're talking about social good, we've got a little bit of the organisation's kind of perspective. How about individuals? Like, what does it mean for everyday citizens, do you think, to be contributing to social good?
See, as in my walk of life, what I have seen is we have three kinds of people over here in the Indian society. Like, there's one part which is totally like unprivileged. There's one part which is very much like overprivileged, and there's a middle part which is kind of a little bit privileged but not overprivileged. So what basically happens over here is that there's like this huge inequality which goes on from the people who are basically underprivileged and the people who are overprivileged. And the only way to, I feel like the only way to really bridge that gap is to put in our work as individuals, even if it's like the smallest bit, like helping someone get their like daily food, or just teaching someone a new skill. You have a lot to give to the society. You need to understand where you're coming from, just know your roots, and then give back to your roots. And I think the best way to do it is to just work towards helping the ones who are underprivileged, to really just bring them up a little bit more. Because as we know, like the ones who are overprivileged, they already have the power, and pretty much most of them are not gonna like step down a little bit to make that equality. So you have to bring up the other section that's under you because you have the power, you know. So I think individual responsibility in today's world is very, very essential to creating some social good. It's not like you have to be in an organization to be doing something good. You have the power. You just need to go out there and do it.
Yeah, great points. It's got to be, I guess, a little bit more balance in the haves and the have-nots, because we all deserve to have food, shelter and clean water, right? Thank you for that. And we've also got Jacob joining us on the call. Hey, Jacob, thanks for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience? Let us know.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Jacob Taylor. I am a proud Wathaurong man. So, for those unfamiliar, Wathaurong is like in between Geelong and Ballarat. So I love like footy. A lot of controversy with this one, but I love Richmond. Not doing too well this season, but should be going all right. I love music. I listen to a lot of artists, some big artists, some less known artists. I like to experiment like a fair bit with like trying to play songs and make songs, but yeah, other than that, I'm not. Yeah.
So you're a bit of a creator and into the music scene. It's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. Just wanted to ask you, from your perspective, do you see many opportunities in your world for young people to be active in creating projects that are going to be able to like find some solutions to any of the issues that you see in your community?
I see some, but I don't see enough. Like there is a fair bit of community engagement that is around in my area. It's just I feel like there needs to be more so we can help like other brothers and sisters, help people out if they need. Like I reckon we need more of that support, just not only like when it comes to just towns or cities, like just all together, everyone should just be supporting and communicating with each other.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And sometimes it's a lot easier said than done, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can take this global or just locally if you want. What are some of the challenges that you think we need to start solving like immediately?
Equality, I reckon. That's a really big one between like everyone, like this group of people hating this group of people for no reason, where it's very easy to solve. It's also gender equality, racial equality. A lot of equality needs to be installed into everyone as just a global circumstance, because we're not really going to get anywhere if we keep bickering and arguing between each other and having this set of rights for these people, this set of rights for that people. That's not what is supposed to be happening. What is supposed to be happening, in my opinion, is that we're all working together. Everyone's getting an equal chance. Everyone's able to work the same job as another person.
Yeah, amazing answer. And where do you think some of that misunderstanding or that breakdown in communication starts to happen?
I think that it starts to happen when it's this group thinks that they're better than this group. So, like, it's the exact same as racial profiling someone. It's because, obviously, within the history, there has been one area where this group of people believe that they're on top of this group of people when it's not what it should be at all.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And thanks so much for sharing with us. Sounds like you're already doing some leadership stuff. I'm not sure if you are active in your community, but I would like to give you the opportunity to throw some questions that you have, maybe for anyone else on the panel with us today before we wrap up the show.
I don't have any questions at the moment, to be perfectly honest.
Well, good. Maybe someone from the panel, Janine or Tara, Sagnik and Callan, do you have a question for Jacob?
Oh, I just wanted to say, well done, Jacob. Like, and equality, hey, it starts with that notion of, what's normal, what's not normal, and people who live inside of normal are usually not Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander peoples. And I love what you said about equity, and I always think about equity as, in Australia we sort of say, I treat everyone the same, but not everyone comes from the same place, has the same history, so we actually have to give people what they need, and that means having a conversation, and having those brave conversations of history and what the true needs are in this country. And there's no one silver bullet, is there? Like, there's lots of problems, so there has to be lots of solutions. Just well done. Love your thinking. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Callan, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, may I just say, hey, brother Jacob, I was just curious, as obviously very courageous young man, how do you as a young leader get people to be inspired by what you believe in, or see what you're imagining into? What's it like for a young person now to be talking about this kind of stuff with your mates?
Well, I'm happy with the group of mates that I have, because we are all able to have our own opinions but all respected at the same time. Me and my mates will pretty much joke about anything. That's just the type of humor we got. But as a young person, what I can see people doing a lot more, and there is a few people that actually do it. Every morning, just put a paragraph of like reaching out to people, asking if they're okay, if they need help, get them to message you on social media. It could be a random person, but just that, I'm looking for the word, sorry, that empathy to have someone reach out. It could be a complete stranger. I've put it up on my story multiple times. If someone's having a horrible day or is just not feeling it, I've always encouraged them to message me. I don't care if there's someone I haven't talked to, someone that has done something in my past. I don't care as long as they're okay, if you know what I mean. Just reaching out and putting the offer out for people so then they actually feel invited to talk about how they're feeling.
Sick. Thanks, man.
Amazing, Jacob. I think you stole the show today, and it would be great if you had an instrument handy. You gave a little hint that you were a bit of a musician, so it'd be cool if you had a couple of tunes, something to sing, take us out, tell everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on IMAGI-NATION TV.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately, a bit rusty. I haven't played in a while.
All good. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. It's been great to hang out and chat with you about this a little bit more, and we'll see you guys next week.